welcome to the Pekin First podcast. My name is Josh, and I get the absolute pleasure of serving as the online ministries director right here at Pekin First.
Hello there, Josh, and hello, everyone. My name is Sean, and I am the pastor here at Pekin First.
Welcome to the Pekin First podcast. This is episode 87, and this is called "Not Everything Needs an Audience." In the digital age of Facebook and Instagram and all the social media platforms, not everything needs an audience.
Yeah, except this podcast.
Except this podcast.
Like, follow, subscribe right now.
Yeah. Like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you share it. It's live on Facebook, live on YouTube. So make sure you share it, and let's get it out there.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead. We start these podcasts off with this week's personal best. And I'm going to let you go first. I have a feeling I know what's coming.
Yeah. It could be nothing else, could it? Other than my visit to see my grandbaby on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. We got a trip down to Nashville, Tennessee, held the baby for the first time. Really magical, just if you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. Go ahead and get yourself a grandchild as soon as you can. It was great, Josh. I had, I guess I had an idea in my head of what it'd be like, but it superseded all of that. Just a very special time to be able to try to connect with this little one. She's only a little over a month old, so hard to really feel like you're deeply connecting, but there was something spiritual and something beautiful about that time, and just really enjoyed being with my daughter and her husband and our son and his girlfriend, and especially with the grandbaby.
Absolutely, yeah. It's it brings a whole new feeling to the family for sure when you have grandkids.
Yep.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you got to go down there and spend a few days for sure.
Yep.
This week's personal best for me is again. Grace's birthday was Monday, so we celebrated it on Sunday, and all the kids come over and some of Grace's friends. It was kind of like old times, where during when they were 15, 16, they'd have their friends over and stuff like that. It's a little different now because they're kind of all grown and moved out except for Emily, but even Emily got to be there. Just circumstance brought her there for Sunday night to stay with us Sunday night. So. She got to be there, and it was just a great time. We played volleyball. We had a fantastic meal that Zena had prepped, and all the family had kind of brought something. So it was a great time. You've been over to my house during that time, and it's a lot, right? Because I got two grandkids, and then there was another kid put into the mix.
Yeah. But it's special, and you can't, you just can't. You can't describe it very well unless you know what it's like to have those family times, and would not want it anything less, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a lot, but at the end of the day, it was a great day for sure.
Making memories. Yep.
Making memories.
Yep.
All right, this is episode 87. Not everything needs an audience. We live in a world where almost everything gets shared. We announce vacations before we leave. I don't recommend that, by the way. We post promotions before the first day, early bird special, things like that.
Yeah.
We tell everyone about our relationships, our arguments, our disappointments, and sometimes even our prayers. Somewhere along the way, we've begun to believe that if something happens in our lives, everyone deserves to know. But does God ask us to live that way? And I struggle with this. This is another personal one for me, because I'm kind of an open book, right? Most of the time. But lately, I've got some things happening. Me and Senna have some things happening in our life that we kind of need to keep them close, just because of the sensitivity of the situation. And it's hard to wrap my head around that silence isn't secrecy.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference between hiding something that's sinful or wrong and just simply protecting something that's precious.
Yeah.
And some things need room to grow before they're exposed. And I personally struggle with that, simply for the fact that a lot of the things that I'm involved in are exciting things, right? And I just want to be clear that silence isn't always good, for sure. If there's certain situations where you need to say something, but as we get into things that are new and exciting, and or things that are happening in a marriage or a relationship, those things are better kept off the table out of view,
Yeah.
until they're ready,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Yeah, I have so many things I want to say on this topic. There's the first thing I think about is I'm a child of the '80s, so
Mhm.
I grew up really before the internet, before social media,
Mhm.
before all of those things. And even back then, Don Henley, who was with the Eagles and then
Mhm.
ended up doing a solo career, had a big, huge hit with a song called "Dirty Laundry." And the whole song was about how we need to air our dirty laundry for the whole world, And at that time, all you could do was put it in the newspaper or put it on nightly news. But it was becoming this thing where everybody wanted to tune into the nightly news, and kind of cable news was starting. CNN and Fox and some of these others were just starting at that time. And that was a huge thing because you had 24/7 news now at your fingertips. And everybody was eating it up because they were getting all of the dirty laundry of people and the celebrities and all of that. And that has just snowballed through social media and through the internet over the years. And you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody's life, if you're a celebrity, if you're popular, if you're even a CEO or a boss or a pastor or a leader of business, you got to be careful because all of your stuff, even if you're not posting it, somebody else is posting it. Somebody else is putting stuff out there about you. And that's just the world that we live in right now. But as far as we're concerned, we do have a responsibility to be real careful, I think, about the stuff that we do post. The problem that I see right now is everybody wants to post things to make themselves look good. And then there's this movement of authenticity, transparency, which is not bad at all. I highly recommend authenticity and transparency, especially in leaders. But there's a limit there, and there are boundaries that we have to put up in terms of what we're going to share, what we're not going to share, et cetera. And then, of course, there's the biblical side of things. And I know you're going to get into this more, but I just want to point out that Jesus made it very clear that we're not to let our left hand know what our right hand is doing. He said, when you're praying, go into your closet and pray quietly. He said, when you're fasting, don't let the whole world know that you're fasting by the way that you look, make your face look or the way you dress. And if you're going to give alms, don't let everybody in the world see that you're doing it. Don't just do it quietly, do it simply. And so there is biblical precedence there for not making a big show of all these things. Now, all of that stuff that I just said is a whole podcast in and of itself.
Absolutely.
But if it might, maybe a nugget, is there for the listener today.
Absolutely. And it's, when you have something personal going on in your life, they always say, be kind, because you never know what somebody has going on behind the scenes. Right. And that's the way it's supposed to be, is when you have something going on behind the scenes, sometimes telling other people just magnifies the problem. Right. And I've done that before. I think we've all done that before, where you've opened your mouth and then you walk away and you go, oh, that probably shouldn't have been said. Right. I shouldn't have said that, either, and not necessarily about somebody else or whatever, but even if it's something that's going on in your life, oh man, I probably shouldn't have said that, because that can get misconstrued, or people just don't need to know yet.
Right. And all the more dangerous posting it, because there's nuance in, I mean, saying it out loud for somebody to actually hear. You can check yourself. You can correct yourself. You can, hey, wait a second, let me rephrase that. But if you put it on, if you text it or email it or post it, there's that acronym that I've shared before that I think is really important. It's the THINK acronym, THINK. Is it true? Is it honest? Is it inspirational? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And if it's not any of those things, you might want to reconsider whether or not you're going to post it, text it, email it, or even say it.
Right. And like you said, Jesus didn't tell everyone everything. There's a surprising amount of scripture where Jesus says not to spread the news. Yeah. Now, once it was out, it's let's go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But as it's building, as it's blooming, if you will, to use a gardening term, since everything's blooming in our garden now. As it's blooming or as it's growing, it kind of needs to stay behind the scenes, and there's reasons for that.
Yeah.
Jesus has reasons for that,
Right.
because he knows once it goes, it's going to take off.
Sure.
And we hear that in Mark 1:43 and 44. Jesus heals the leper and tells him to tell no one. And then in Matthew 16:20, after Peter declares Jesus is Messiah, he warned the disciples not to tell anyone. Even Jesus understood that timing matters. Truth shared at the wrong time can create confusion instead of faith.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's not a matter of I'm hiding my secrets. I'm hiding those. We all have the saying is we all have the skeleton in the closet. It's not hiding that stuff. It's even if you're going through something and it doesn't require professional help or whatever that looks like, and you're going through it. Sometimes it's better that if it's you and, like I said, you and a partner, or you and a sibling, or whatever that is, going through that, and then coming out on the other side and being able to help somebody go through that
Right.
later on.
Yeah, I would add to that how important it really is if you are going through something that's life-threatening, that is harmful to yourself or to someone else. You got to talk about that, but not publicly. You find that counselor, you find that pastor, you find that other Christian that you can trust, and that will hold that secret, or that whatever it is that you're dealing with in confidence, and they'll pray for you, and you can trust that. But make sure you talk to some. Don't hold that stuff in. It's just going to hurt you all the more. However, on the other hand, again, and I use this term boundaries a lot because I think boundaries are really important. We don't have very many boundaries in our culture right now.
That's right.
There aren't guardrails. It's just like, let's just regurgitate everything out there. Don't air all that on social media. Don't air it for people to see, because it can hurt you and do more damage than what you're trying to accomplish in posting it.
Absolutely. And I was going to allude to that, and I didn't forget. I kind of skipped over it. Is, sometimes the pastor's ears are deaf, if you will. And what I mean by that is, and I don't know if it's in the oath that you take, or I don't know where it comes in, but pastors are very private. There's not a whole lot that you don't know, or Jim didn't know, that goes on in my life. And there's a reason for that. I'm not airing it in public. I'm giving it to somebody I have confidence that it won't go anywhere, number one, because of the faith that we have together.
Yeah.
The relationship that we have. And when you develop a relationship with a pastor or a therapist or anything like that, that is the place for the outlet.
Right.
There are times to let it out.
Right.
And it's just not, I'm going to, and a lot of people, when they start drinking alcohol, right, it's it can get rough. You say things that you don't
Sure.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Substances are going to enhance your, how shall we say, your stupidity. It does. It absolutely does.
Absolutely.
And and then you're going to regret it. If it's out there, it's out there. You can't, it's toothpaste. Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, you're not getting it back in there. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
Somebody once told me, once it's in writing, and this is obviously before computers, and but not before computers, but before they were readily at your fingertips. Once you write it down and send it, there's no going back to get it.
Right.
So make sure
Right.
it's what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And oversharing, and this is where the personal part of this comes in for me. Oversharing can be emotionally exhausting, because when you do overshare, or you post things that are going on in your personal life that you probably shouldn't have let loose, or you know something about somebody you shouldn't have let loose and you do. It can mess with you mentally and quite honestly, physically.
Mm.
It gets to a point where it will start to hurt you physically. When we retell something painful, when you go through a traumatic situation and you just keep repeating it because everybody wants to hear the story, it can be painful. And then when you start to hear it retold, it makes it even that much more
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah.
We relive that moment.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's right. And I also think there's a place for journaling, personal journaling.
Oh, yeah.
We've gotten away from that. When my kids, I remember my daughter was younger, when she became an adolescent, we got her first diary, and those were really kind of popular things back then. And it was good and therapeutic and healthy for her. She was a young Christian and learning to pray and talk to God, but being able to write things down too. I think for some people, that's really the right way to go, is just write it to yourself, write it in a journal. If maybe you have a journal on your computer, where you keep documents that you write. I don't know. Listen to what we're saying today and filter through the stuff that doesn't matter to you, but really take the things that do matter and hold tightly to them. And one last thing I would say too, just from the pastoral perspective, prayer is so incredibly important, but you also have to be real careful about prayer groups. Prayer groups can become gossip sessions really quickly. We're going to pray for so-and-so who's going through whatever, and you see what's happening all of a sudden? Let's pray for Sister Bertha, whose marriage is falling apart right now. Suddenly we're gossiping about people and couching it in the language of prayer. And I think we got to be real careful about that. There's no need for details. If Sister Bertha's going through something, you can ask people to pray for Sister Bertha, and then let's move on. We don't need deets, that's just right.
We don't need the tea.
No,
That's
no.
the new
That's
the
right.
new thing.
Right.
Because even Jesus withdrew when he prayed. In Luke 5:16, Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Before speaking publicly, he always withdrew. Before he spent time privately with the Father. And he would say, I'm going to spend time with the Father.
Right.
So maybe before and this is where it comes in, and it's funny as I started outlining this and researching this, and I have AI kind of put my thoughts together on some of these things for me, and it's AI gave me, and that's why this is in here. He spent privately time with the Father. Maybe before we post, maybe before we announce, maybe before we vent, we should pray.
Yeah.
And that took me to your think.
Yep.
Acronym.
Absolutely. That's such great advice.
Absolutely. So here's my challenge for you this week. When you go to share something, whether it be online, whether it be in a group setting, like you said, in a prayer group, or we have plenty of people on our prayer group. Speaking of that, we have plenty of people on our prayer list that just says pray for, boom, and that's it.
That's it.
Nobody needs to know the tea.
Right.
So before you do any of that, make sure, am I sharing this for wisdom or validation? These days, we all seem to need validation. I'm guilty of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need validation that I'm making the right move. Is this the right move? When, quite honestly, the person I should be asking, I'm not. Right? Have I talked to God before I've talked to everyone else? There it is. That thing I just said. And is this helping God's work in my life, or is it interrupting it? And 90% of the time when I ask that question, because I ask it in a different way, right? It's interrupting it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not me focusing on following God.
Yeah.
And that was in my truck talk the other day, actually. And it's funny that it all came together like this. Was, I've been really on edge lately, at the kind of, not at the end of my rope, but just really on edge. And is it me holding on to the day, or is it me allowing God to hold the day and following God through the day?
Right. Yeah, and I always wonder where people go when they don't have God. If you don't have God and you don't have a prayer life, then your only outlet really is going to be your spouse, your friends, social media, the people that are out, and you're going to be more inclined to share those things that you don't need to share openly. I think people who are Christians, and we Christians have a, we struggle with this just like anybody. However, we do have that first line of defense, which is to take it to God in prayer. And that's, I think if anybody hears anything today, hear that. I think going to God, if you struggle with prayer, I get it. I understand that. But maybe your prayer life will actually be enhanced if you take everything that you were going to say to your group, to other people, to post online, and just talk to God about that first.
And 100%. And when I drive, that's my prayer time for God. Find that time.
Yeah.
When I worked out this morning, I didn't do my normal routine. I had to do something different because of the activity I've had all week. My legs just wouldn't take another leg workout. So as I'm doing in the sit-up machine is what I'm doing, and so I get motion sickness. So I can't watch, like when I'm doing the sit-ups, I can't watch everything move or it'll make me sick.
Sure.
So I close my eyes. Funny enough, I close my eyes while I'm doing the sit-ups, and I feel like that is a connection to God for me because there is no nothing going on around me.
Yeah.
And another quick story. Yesterday, we got a little behind on mowing. I've had some guys out there. I to mow some of our properties. I have football guys from East Peoria. They need a part-time job, so it works out. And we got a little behind, so I brought my zero turnover and over to some of our properties, and we're all like right there around Bradley. So I just hopped on the zero turn, right, and off I went. And I think I blew through 13 yards. And my maintenance manager, he's like, because one of his kids is mowing for us, he was like, he came home and he's like, what? Like, he was just so focused and laser focused. And it's not that I was focused. I didn't have to answer my phone. I didn't have to. And sometimes, I didn't have to answer questions. I didn't have to look at a computer screen.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to have that.
Yeah.
And it's just like Jesus going off and praying.
Yeah. Whatever it is. I mean, if it's exercise, if it's mowing, whatever it is, it's fishing, golfing, do whatever you need to do, but find that quiet time, get away, turn off that technology, and just be with God.
Be with God.
Yeah.
100%. Tell him everything. Yeah. He already knows it, by the way. So you might as well just discuss it with him.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well, we had a very busy week last week between Vacation Bible School. The block party was awesome.
Yep.
We do have live videos on our Facebook page of the steel drum line that came in, and we're gonna have one of these weeks here very soon. We're gonna have, and I cannot think of his name. I want to say it was Tyrell, but I'm not sure. But he's the director of the band. We're gonna have him on here. He's agreed to do a podcast with us. He is a very, very this ministry he's doing is fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have him on. But that was fantastic. The committee the group for putting this block party together, Gina, Megan, just awesome. Did a great job.
Yep.
So we have all kinds of things coming up. Go to our website at peakandfirst.org. August 1st is a big one. And I just now put this together. This Open Table Cafe card is laying here on the table, so I don't pass it by. August 1st, we have the Open Table Cafe at the same time. The St. Jude Runners will be
That's
here.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So another busy day here at Peak and First. It just keeps going.
Yeah,
it never stops here.
Open Table Cafe, St. Jude Runners. We got our day of service coming up mid-August. We got Marigold right around the corner. We got our big worship service in October. All kinds of wonderful things. Plus just the regular routine of worship and small groups and youth group. We talking to Sandy today about a youth group kickoff. Back to school kickoff that she's planning to do. So we need to get her on and talk about youth group stuff as soon as we can too. So lots of good stuff.
Absolutely. All right. I believe that's all the time we have for today. So remember, God put us here to do great things. So let's go do great things.